Hello everyone and welcome to our FPL Gameweek 38 preview. How are we feeling, Kieran? The last game week of the season. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully you can get a green after the last 2 weeks of going backwards. But yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be a good week and a few thrashings, and I come out on the right side.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I think
Yeah,
historically, when we'll talk about this in a minute, it does look like Gameweek 38 is a goal fest. And tonight we're going to
mm,
talk about the, best picks per position. I think that's probably a good way to frame it.
yep,
And just see, where there's gaps to be made if you're chasing, protecting, or just feeling a bit punty for the final day of the season. I'm kind of in
yep.
the last category. I'm feeling a bit punty. Maybe on captaincy, maybe on pick, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let's talk about
Mm,
Game Week 37. Do you want to start
sure.
first and talk about what's
Yeah,
happened, what's been happening?
not such a good one, unfortunately. Yeah, so I went from I think it was 33k, which I obviously went down from around 20k the
Hmm.
week before, and now I'm down to 44k. So another kind of rough red arrow in the wrong sort of time of the year to be getting red arrows. Um, yeah, so yeah, Pope versus Areola, Pope worked out, I suppose, but also obviously all the people who had Arsenal defenders and
Yeah.
stuff like I benched Kivior, and then most people would have had Raya, and obviously got out on the right end of that sort of flip, which is super annoying. Obviously Agbadou coming in with some points was
That was
really
nice. Yeah.
not expected, but he obviously went and conceded 4, so not great at the same time. Constant, obviously the big winner this week. I think he's only 8% owned, so
I'm
he was a
surprised about
decent
that.
differential. But I have seen him in a lot of teams over Twitter, at least anyway. So
Mm.
yeah, that felt pretty good. Yeah, I bought in Palmer. I think
Oh
it was from
yeah.
Saar, and then I
Yeah.
bought in Watkins from Vissa, which was yeah, just I don't know what I was thinking. I was getting lost in the hype of Watkins
Mm.
versus the rotated Spurs, and yeah, they did rotate massively, and Watkins just let me down, and yeah, should have maybe just sold Isak, because obviously I didn't know Isak was going to get injured. Nobody did.
Mm.
Lots of people did that move anyway, and yeah, hindsight, I guess, but yeah, maybe I wasn't going to do that because he's got Everton last game week. So yeah, that sucked. But yeah, I went in Bremer captain instead of going for the Watkins captain. Basically went out the same thing. Evanisson not managing to do anything. De Bruyne missing a zero point
Oh my
0.9
gosh.
XG
Yeah.
chance. Yeah, Murphy coming on at wing back for Isak was just meh.
Mm.
Like, I don't want to see that, because like if Isak comes back next week, Gordon and Barnes both started. Like, is Murphy even going to play if I'm on my bench boost? It's just like,
True.
got to worry about that. Um, yeah, so and then Vardy losing his clean sheet at the back end, which yeah maybe kind of helped me, to be honest, because lots of people have double
Mm.
City defense. But yeah, overall a pretty not great week. But at least I got a captaincy return and concert, and that's basically all to write home about, to be
Yeah.
honest. And
That
shame.
that flip on the captaincy for Mbuemo is brutal.
Yeah, the captaincy, the penalty miss was just, yeah, such a shame.
It could have, like it said, it was on for 12 to 15 points, obviously depending on bonus, to then
Yeah.
the minus, and it was quite a heavy game, that one,
Mm.
and yeah, just a bit of
Yeah,
a
they could have
shame.
got me a green
Yeah,
if that had happened. Yeah.
exactly. I'm sure
Oh
it
well.
probably would
Yeah.
have. Yeah, lots to definitely unpack for bench boost, because I'm obviously in the same situation with a lot of players with question marks hanging over them for different reasons, I think. But otherwise, for game week 37, it went pretty well, to be honest. Like you, I had Konsa, Watkins captain. I was pretty confident on him all week last week. A little flutter towards Mbuemo near the deadline, but yeah, I felt like Watkins was the pick. He came in for Mateta. I had Rodgers as well, so I had a lot of points on that Friday night. And
Yeah.
then even on Sunday with Milankovic goal, Wissa as well, and Raya's clean sheet just boosted me. So I was fretting a bit last night because I hardly had any players, and all Crystal Palace assets have been doing so well recently. Eze, we'll talk about him in a bit, but still, again, is just a monster. He just gives me like a red
Yeah.
arrow every time he does something. Thankfully, Munoz blank, but it was a good game week. I think it was like my second or third highest rank of the season, so it was a good time to get it. Just still outside top 50k, so we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, you should be with a good chance of it now with that really good game week. Yeah.
But we'll just see. But yeah, lots to talk about. All right, let's jump into our plans for this game week. And should we just start talking about whether game week 38 is a goal fest? Essentially, I've got the fixtures up on screen. So the too long didn't read answer is that yes, historically, in each of the last 5 seasons at least, the goals per game in game week 38 was higher than the season average per game, and roughly sort of 10 to 15% more goals on average. So I think that's great. And if you look at the fixtures, I think there's plenty in there where there's teams against ones with little motivation. So we still think that Newcastle have got a huge amount of reason to win. And I kind of think as well, I'm hopeful that Isak is going to come back into the team. Like perhaps Harrow just thought, right, we only need to win one of the last 2. The Everton game is more likely. Let's give him like a week off. He will have had 2 weeks between games, and he could be primed to start. That could have just been the line that he's missing for a groin injury.
I think he trained literally the whole week, and it was literally the day of the game that he had that scan, and he felt some discomfort, and it was sort of swelling around his groin again. The groin injury continuing to sort of like be underlying, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I kind of think that because it sounds a bit vague and woolly, and he trained all week, it's like we just need to win one. Why not target the very winnable Everton game? And I kind of feel confident that Isak's going to come back in. And in a way, for people that kept the faith and kept him over Watkins, I hope it comes in, because I think that game is a higher upside for him than Watkins probably was against Tottenham now. Anyway, so Newcastle, I think. Villa, obviously the motivation as well, and another good fixture to back it up. Manchester United with little to play for. The Europa League final tonight, which we'll perhaps talk about a bit later, which is really exciting. Man City, I think they still need a point against Fulham. I feel like that will be a difficult game. And then Forest and Chelsea, I think, is obviously the last one for the UCL, which is going to be tight. And then from what I understand about the Europa League and Europe, for the rest of the teams, I think it's impossible for Bournemouth to now get 8th, and for Fulham, so it's between Brighton and Brentford. So there's like 4 or 6 teams there for sure which have got motivation. But I think a lot of it still, perhaps what you'll talk about now, is going to come down to team sheets and making transfers for this game week. It's probably going to crash the site on Sunday, because if, let's say, the top 200,000 are engaged, I think that any team leaks that come out between 2 and 2:30 on Sunday, everyone is just going to be scrambling.
Yeah, but you kind of almost have to wait till then as well, because if you make transfers and one of your other players doesn't play, or the one you transferred in doesn't play, it's just like that's a nightmare. So the last thing you want is the early transfers, I would say, this week. But try to hopefully encourage the people who leak to do it as soon as possible. That would be great.
Yeah, right.
So I guess we should talk about team sheets, as you said. So players who might not start. I guess there's obviously a lot of teams that don't have motivation, as you said. Like, so there's like 14 other teams that don't really have anything to play for.
Yep.
And there's obviously a lot of teams and players that we're picking from and that don't have anything to play for. So basically anyone could get rotated, and honestly is the short answer, I suppose. But then, a player in my team who I'll mention is KDB. So honoured. He sort of was given a guard of honour at the start of the game coming out. Obviously against Bournemouth at home. Obviously game was 37. He was subbed off early, probably due to the Kovacic red card, but to a standing ovation. So, what motivation does Pep really have to play him away to Fulham, other than they need a point, I guess? But was game week 7 his sort of real, in like italics, final game, because it was his home game and his send off with his fans? So, does he really need to play him in this 37 or 38 game away at Fulham when he kind of had all that sort of fanfare for the last game? So I'm a little bit worried there. Maybe because they need that point that he probably will play. I mean, the last thing I need is for him to be out, because it's just I've only got one transfer I've got a bench boost to play, and there's other players that may not play in my team as well. So what do you think about him firstly?
I think it's been probably a surprise a little bit that he's played so consistently. I've just had a look at the minutes, but he's started and played, apart from this game against Bournemouth, 83 minutes plus in all of those games and the FA Cup final. He's obviously had what you would probably consider a bit of a rest against Bournemouth, but I suppose if he plays, it'll be 3 games in 7 days. Can he do that? I suppose we'll have to see. I think I think he'll probably start. I think that would be my guess, and then he'll perhaps come off early again, because it is a must-win or must-draw game for Man City, and
if he doesn't start, would you sell? Because assumedly he'll get like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Would you still keep him? I think you probably have to, right? It's just, it's a lot. Because who else are you going for that's like loads of money around that price? Maybe you'd go to Bowen, I guess.
Yeah, I think Bowen's
probably like the only person.
Maybe Eze.
Yeah, maybe.
Might be a shout. Diaz, I think, is quite interesting. So there's a few maybes around that price.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested what people, if people in the chat have got KDB, what their plans are. But I think a lot of the general talk I've seen on FPL Twitter this week is Kevin is going to be sold for Saka.
Interesting.
That's like
that's
like the move.
Yeah, so he's the next person I'm going to talk about. So Saka. I think Arteta mentioned that they're going to the beach after that last game.
Right.
So they've secured the Champions League spot. So I would say he of basically all people in that team are probably going to be most likely at risk of just like not playing. Like, why not just like wrap him up for cotton wool for the next season, right? Like, why
risk him?
Why make him play minutes when he's possibly still a possible like sort of risk after his injury? He's only come back recently. So wrap him up for next season. Just have him on the bench. Maybe bring him on for the last 10 minutes. But with nothing to play for, like literally at all. Like, obviously it's a great game, but we've seen City struggle there. Draw 0-0 in the last few weeks. So does he play? Who the hell knows at this point, to be honest. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on him? Because you have him. Obviously, a lot of people are looking to get him. Like, this is an absolutely like you have no idea sort of scenario. I think
he's now turned into such an awful pick for this last game week for me as an owner, because I think look at his recent form against Bournemouth, Liverpool, and Newcastle when he started. He's been pretty uninvolved in all of those 3 games. Arsenal, like you've mentioned, haven't really got anything to play for. The fixture's good on paper. Maybe he starts. He absolutely won't play 90 minutes, which isn't great, and he hasn't had the form to back it up. Like, I had the numbers on screen. He's had 1 return since game week 30, and appreciate he's not played 90 in all of those, but he's played like enough minutes to get enough returns. And I think even stretching further back than that, I think it's like 1 return in 12, because I think he blanked in the 3.5 games before he got injured. So I've had him all this time. He's been so underwhelming, and I'm kind of hoping a little bit that he is bench, so it doesn't like give me a reason not to transfer him out, if that makes sense. Because I just think he's like a 65-70 minute 2 or 3 pointer this week. But
I kind of agree as well.
But he could haul, but at the same time he could haul. It's Southampton. He could get a goal and assist quite easily. So.
And obviously, I think I've seen as well, like one of the FPL team leakers have put out that Saliba is heavily rumoured to miss out due to a hamstring tweak. So I've not seen that confirmed anywhere else, but that's a possible red flag for any people looking at defence. That could equal even more rotation in the team. Like, probably White will probably play. Could Shinchenko play? Like, could Timber probably miss out?
Maybe.
Could Tierney could play? I think it's possibly his last game for Arsenal ever. So. Their whole team is basically rife for rotation. It could be like Sterling could play, like in Ranieri could play. Like, it's who the hell knows? Like, they've just got Hazard back. Hazard could play, not Hazard. Sorry, Havertz.
Havertz
back, so he could play. So there's just like who the hell knows? Like, honestly, it's such a good fixture, but it's such a like just complete minefield of just like who to pick in that team. And there's not really any leakers for Arsenal anymore. Anyway, there used to be, but there isn't anymore. So, tough place. Like, I think I'm probably just gonna have to play Kivior. I assume he'll start still. But other than that, and Raya, if you got Raya, he'll probably play. But what's to say then they couldn't play Turner just for 1 game? because I don't think he's played.
Or
He didn't
Neto.
play any of the cups. Is it Neto the
Yeah,
backup?
I think it's Neto.
Okay, Neto.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think Neto's played basically at all. I think Raya's played most of the cups as well. So yeah, why not give one of the backup goalkeepers a game? So yeah, I'll move on. Isaac. So yeah, we did mention him. You think he's possibly going to start?
Yeah, I think so.
Groin injury issue. And I think another positive of possibly him starting or leaning towards starting is that Wilson was terrible. He was not good. Got taken off around 60-ish minutes as well, and just he had a nothing of a game. So I'm not really worried in the sense that Wilson is just going to play because he's a good enough replacement, because he's not. So hopefully we get some news. Obviously, Howard's pretty bad at being reliable of what he says. So who knows? But hopefully, I could do without that being an issue as well. So as could you.
I feel like that Newcastle are quite a good team to get leaks for.
Yes, there is a few, Lucas. Yeah,
so
true.
I'd feel confident that we'll get an answer on that.
And I think the one possible good thing of if he is out is there is some spicier punts at the sort of striker spot for this final game week. So Salah, I'll mention him. He has started every game this season.
Yeah.
Yes, but maybe there's, but then again, maybe there's a reason to rotate him now, because why not? At the same time, but he was going for records, and that hasn't really helped him do anything over the last ages. So he's been terrible since his new contract, and beating the all-time score and all that stuff, and one of the best goals, assists, and seasons in all time. And just this has not helped him. But 1 goal, 1 assist is going to be 30. Obviously, it's been drunk pool in the last 3 games, rotation everywhere. I think I saw that their XGC has been of the last 3 games when they won the title, confirmed. Their XGC has been the worst in the league. So that just shows how bad their defense has gotten and how lazy they're getting. So I assume Salah probably will start, just to say he started every game this season, but because there was rotation across the front 3 last game, and Salah still started. So could it be where he doesn't start this one and the other 2 come back in, like Diaz and Gakpo and stuff? So I don't know, but my leaning is that he'll probably will start, but there's a chance that he might not. So, but he's been terrible anyway, so we could just sell him, and I wish I had to sell him. So and then Cunha as well at Wolves was rotated last week. His move to Man United seems to be imminent. But does he start the final game at home versus Brentford? The fans don't seem to love him. The manager seems to have no allegiance to him, considering he's basically gone already. He's dropped him before. Is he going to start this game? Not sure. And people certainly do own him still. So, and he's had good fixtures, and he's got a good fixture this week. So let's see. Sorry, I had to cough there. And then, as I said, basically all other teams could rotate, but they don't have too much reasons to rotate at the same time. So, there's Murphy, as I mentioned as well. I think if Isak comes back with Barnes and Gordon playing okay-ish, I guess, is Murphy going to drop out? Who's dropping out in that team? Is it Gordon? Is it Barnes?
I know.
Who knows?
I haven't even started worrying about Murphy. Now I'm worried about Murphy. I hadn't even thought about that.
It's just the thought that, because Wilson played, Isak's got to come back in. Wilson will go out. But, are all 3 of the others going to play at the same time? So, I was surprised to see it when Wilson played, that Murphy, Barnes, and Gordon all played together. Same. But it was because Murphy was playing wing back. And it was just oh, my God, okay, that's not great. No. And he was very far, back in that game with Livramento on the other side with the other wing back, I think. And he just looked bad. So I don't want another scenario where that happens again. I just want Isak to come back in there, and he's on the right as an attacking forward, basically.
Yeah, even though they played, I appreciate they played Arsenal away and blanked, but from that first half display, they were really attacking from the stats and highlights. And
Murphy was not far forward.
He was not. No, his expected goal involvement 0.03 was actually the worst since game week 25 when they played away against Man City. And I think it's probably the equal worst with some game against Bournemouth. So really poor. And if they opt for that in that last game, he's just a inverted defender essentially.
Yeah, he's a 3 points possible max on a bench boost. Yeah, it's not great. Yeah.
I think there's so many players you can worry about this game week. I mean, even Areola in goal.
Yeah.
There's
I forgot about that one. Yeah.
players who are potentially going to be out of contract, might be given a run out, and they're going to replace who is someone who's, for us, maybe like a reliable bench boost player. And we saw
if that happens, what do we even do at that point? Do we sell Areola for a hit? Is that what we're doing?
It's probably
like
it's probably not
yeah.
worth the effective -2 to buy someone, because you're banking on a team getting a clean sheet in a game week where there isn't that many to go around.
Yeah,
and we saw last night with Palace that they were happy to rotate, and Chilwell played and got a goal. I mean, these are players that play. That type of player is going to play in game week 38 and are going to take minutes off more regular starters. And I don't know, it's just going to be chaos. And it's kind of why game week 38 is fun, but at the same time, it's a stress to plan for. I think we'll both mention that we probably are not going to do a bench boost in 38 again because of this scenario. It's just it's not worth the stress. No, exactly. And I think my general plan, which is probably why we're pitching it a little bit of like our top picks for each position, is I've just got like a plan for 2:00 on Sunday, which says if X player is out, these are like my best 2 options if they're playing to come in for it, because otherwise I feel like I'm going to get there and just panic and maybe ruin the bench boost. So yeah, perhaps should we go through position by position and just talk about who we like and who we actually think is going to start? So despite what we said about Arsenal, I still think, I'm just going to lead with Raya, that I think that he is likely to stay. I mean, if you look at the Arsenal defenders they've got out, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, all have red flags. I expect the backline's going to be White, Kivior, Calafiori, and probably Lewis Skelly. So I think Raya he needs 1 clean sheet on the final day to get the Golden Glove. I don't really see why, if that was an option, Arteta would rotate him, because it looks like a good chance. So Southampton at 0.6 XG per game in the last 4 weeks is the second worst of all teams. So even with that rotated backline, I think there's a good chance Arsenal keep a clean sheet. So I think he's probably locked it in to be a good goalkeeper for game week.
Would you, if Saliba is definitely out, would you look at a double? Because I've got Aguado and O'Shea or whatever. If I'm looking to upgrade a defender, would you go for double Arsenal defence? Is that the best chance of a clean sheet this week?
I've looked at that as well, because Aguado doesn't look that good against my double Brentford attack. And I think if you run through each of the teams, there's such slim picking. So even the Bournemouth-Leicester game, I think the paper read of that is that Bournemouth should keep a clean sheet. But Leicester have won twice in their last 3 and drawn 1. Bournemouth have been woeful for a long time. Houston is going to Real Madrid. Kirkes looks like he's going to leave this summer as well. What's their motive? They can't qualify for anything else. Their motivation is low. What's to say they keep a clean sheet in that game? I mean, I could go through all of these.
Yeah, it does seem fairly unlikely, actually.
Yeah, I think Fulham, Man City, I think that's too close to call a definite nailed-on clean sheet for Man City. Fulham have been good against the top sides. Ipswich, West Ham, I wouldn't like to call a clean sheet in either of that game. Same with Liverpool. Maybe Aston Villa against Man United. Might be a clean sheet, but most people have got double or triple up. Newcastle, but again, triple up. Forest, Chelsea will probably be close, but I don't know. Backing one of those defences seems tough. You're right. Arsenal, better probably than Brighton, Spurs, Wolves and Brentford. They're probably like the best looking team, but they're going to be like a second team as well.
Yeah. I think that back line, assuming what you said happens, I think that's good enough to keep a clean sheet at Southampton for sure. Yeah. So,
Harry in the chat I think they're join him on the Ben White train.
Yeah, that's not a bad option. I quite like that. It just is he definitely going to start? Because Zinchenko could play. There's one of those. There's another player that has just not got the minutes who could still sort of slot into that defense. So yeah,
I think he'll probably play right back. Probably play now that Timber's out. Yeah. Sorry, I was doing goalkeepers when we got distracted, but it's good to talk about Arsenal because I think they're a key one. And then just other goalkeepers I think are probably quite likely to play and do well. Pope, you've got, since I think it's game week 30, only Southampton have a worse since game week 30, only Southampton and Tottenham have a worse XG away from home than Everton. And like we said, it's a must-win game against them for Newcastle to get Champions League. They've been pretty solid at home recently in that Chelsea game, kept the shutout. So I think, when there's more on the line, I think teams have got a better focus, and I just expect a Pope and Newcastle clean sheet in that game. So I think he's a fine pick. Is it 3 back-to-back home clean sheets? Chelsea, Ipswich, and Crystal Palace. And then 1 goal against Man United. So they've been solid. And my last goalkeeper pick, is a bit left field, would be for Bruggen. Just Spurs have the worst XG in the league in the last 4 game weeks. They've got the Europa League final tonight. Brighton again have to win, so they've got a chance of getting Europe. So there's motivation there, and he's slightly less expensive than Raya and Pope. So those are probably my 1, 2, 3 picks for goalkeepers if they were missing.
Yep, I've got 2 as well. Kappa at 4.6 million. Obviously, Bournemouth, we talked about them. Maybe it's not a good option, so this may be the 4th of those keepers so far. But yeah, Leicester 6.13 XG last 6, which puts them 16th. 12 big chances conceded actually for Bournemouth is the 7th best at the moment, and then 9 headed chances conceded is the 2nd best. So I mean, Leicester don't necessarily have loads of headed chances. Thinking of like Vardy, but Vardy's not actually going to play, as he so. One of the only teams to lose this season versus Leicester, but I'd bet they'd probably win to 0 here. Maybe not bet, but I think it's a good chance at least. And then maybe Flecken. 4th highest scoring goalkeeper at 135. Before last week's loss, Brentford were on a run of 6 without defeat with 4 wins, 2 draws, and he had 3 clean sheets in that as well. So 7 big chances conceded is the best in the league of the last 6 as well for Flecken. And then 6.37 XGC is 4th best at the moment. So yeah, Brentford away at Wolves doesn't sound like a great one on paper, but if Cunha's not playing, stuff like that, I don't think Wolves' attack is particularly great, to be honest. So I think there's a good chance that Flecken could get a clean sheet this week.
Yeah, Brentford were really impressive and solid in that Forest game, which is the last one I watched them in. And Flecken has crept up the sort of overall point scoring goalkeepers. So has Collins recently as well. Like, he features at the top of the top scoring defenders, and I think he's played every minute of every game this season, and he's got a little bit of goal threat about him as well. So I don't like. He's had 9 attacking returns this season, Collins. So I think there's a good chance with Brentford still having something to play for that their sort of defensive picks, which have definitely not been in our thoughts this season, are worth looking at against Wolves.
Yeah, so someone like me who's got cheapo defenders on the bench boost, we've got O'Shea and Agbadu, as I said. Maybe I'd look towards a Collins, possibly. Well, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. All right, and then defenders. I didn't really put down too many defenders because, like we mentioned at the top of the show, I think so much upside in the attackers this week. I don't really think there's many defenders out, which we just went through, that have got a lot of upside. So I think Trippier is probably one. So not Trippier, Livramento. With Trippier still out, I think he's the likeliest to get an attacking return against Everton, who, as I mentioned earlier, got nothing to play for, woeful away from home. His expected points since game week 34 is the 6th highest of all defenders. It's lower than Burn and Sharp, but since his move to left wing back, he's been more involved, racks up more key passes per game, and gets a better baseline bonus. So he looked really attacking in that game against Arsenal, more so than Murphy on the other side. And
100%.
I think he's a nice pick for anyone who isn't tripled on Newcastle. And I think there's definitely a bit of a conundrum to go into game week 38 with, because if Isak's out, I expect that most sort of engaged managers already have a Newcastle triple up, whether that's Isak, Murphy and defender, or Isak, Barnes and defender, let's say. So if Isak's out, there's definitely good reason to sell him for another team's forward and double up either in that Newcastle attack, where we expect there to be, a high scoring game, or on the defensive side where we expect it to be a clean sheet. So yeah, I think there's a fair chance that on Sunday people will be weighing up whether they get Livramento or someone like Barnes or Gordon into their team if Isak is out.
Yeah, interesting.
And then the only other defender, which, like I mentioned, I'm a bit on the fence about this pick, but if he starts, he is good. So, like I mentioned, Leicester have been in good form recently, but they've still got the 3rd lowest for expected goals since game week 30. 2 wins and 1 draw in the last 3. They've got a bit of form, but Vardy's out for this one, so hopefully that attack is blunted a bit. Kirke's average is 4.1 points per game at home, which is 12th highest of all defenders across the season. So I think, the Bournemouth game is the standout paper pick, because Leicester have been so bad, but I don't really know if I trust it. But if I need a defender, probably I'd rank them Ben White, Livramento, Kirkes. Or Livramento, Ben White, Kirkes.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I've just realised I didn't do any defenders at all.
That's
so
right.
Skip.
Skip. All right. Do you want to talk about midfielders then?
Sure. Yeah. So the guy who I've mentioned like probably 6 weeks in a row, and I've just never got him. Bowen, 7.9 million, 14%. Like I think a lot of people are going to look to him this week with this really good fixture of Ipswich away. I think it is away, isn't it?
That's right.
So yeah, since game week 29, 5-2, 7-2, 9-10, 9-8, 8. Like just every week I was mentioning him and just like, oh yeah, I need to should just take a hit for him and just do it. And then I obviously didn't, and that's where patience has really not worked out this season.
Look at their form. Fantastic. I've just got their West Ham's form up. It's so bad. Like he's been returning well, but West Ham have won once since game week. What's that? Game week 28. Ugh.
Yeah.
Don't know how he's
bad.
Done it.
So yeah, fantastic run of form for him. And yeah, basically still no hauls in there really. He's had one double-digit return with two assists in the one game. He's basically just averaged one return every game, which is a goal or assist and stuff. So that's good. I think people were talking about maybe captaincy on him, which is like, I don't know, maybe I could see him. Yeah, we've talked about possibly him getting like a brace on the last game week, but I don't know. Is that more likely than him getting just one return on average? One return seems more likely to me. Yeah. So, Ipswich expected goals conceded 10.6, which is 17th worst the last 6 weeks. And then Bowen's XG of the last 6 weeks is 1.93, which is puts him 11th for all mid. So, like as I said last week as well, like his stats don't jump off the page, but he has been reliable and he's just getting that return every week, and he keeps doing it. So I don't see any reason, like the fixture is there for it, and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't continue, and he could just get something, if not a double something. Seems like a good option for sure. Semenyo, another one. So this is pretty punty, I'd say. 5.7 million. It's more about the fixture. 7.2%. Not in great form, and Bournemouth are off 2 back-to-back losses. But at home to Leicester, who, obviously they've just had their Vardy party send off, and it could be sort of a downer game from them, like a sort of come down of just like, this seems like a game they just would rather not be playing after everything that happened last week. So if I had to predict a sort of thrashing for this weekend, I think it could be this game for Bournemouth. Like I said, they haven't been in great form, but I like the fixture a lot. Game week 32 to 37, Semenyo's form has been a bit iffy. 10-3, 9-4, 2-2. And then Leicester's XGC over the last 6 has been 12.3, which is 20th of all teams at the moment. So, there seems like there should be goals for Bournemouth players in this one. Their form has obviously dropped off as well, as I said, but I like the chances and the fixture that they can get something going here and get like a 3-4-0.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what to think about the Bournemouth game. I'm honest. I feel like I've wrongly backed against Leicester being bad a couple times this season. That Man City game week 31, and maybe in the free hit in 34 against Wolves. But I don't know. Maybe it's just Bournemouth have just been really uninspiring, and perhaps they could turn it on for that final game week. But I just had a look. They've only scored. That was surprising, but they've only scored more than one goal at home. I think it's 5 times this season.
Don't love that.
So I don't know if it's and they were beaten by Leicester, but you're right, with Vardy out, maybe they just pile in on them and they've got they're a bit more free flowing, because they are a good attacking team, but it just hasn't clicked. And maybe with the pressure off of it's the last day, it's Leicester. Maybe that's the game where Semenyo's 20 shots per game, 2 or 3 of them go in, and they do batter them.
Yeah, I think it's a great fixture, and you just you probably want at least something from there. I think.
And then other midfielders. So there's a few I quite like. I don't like Eze because he just, like I mentioned, when will he quit? So he's still a fair differential at 15%, but I think his EO within top 100, top 150k is high. But what about this for variance? So game weeks 1 to game week 30, he had 8 returns in 30 game weeks. In game weeks 31 to 37, he's had 8 returns in 7 game weeks. I mean, how swingy that has been from Sarr and Mateta.
Yeah.
Like Eze's underlying numbers and returns were absolutely nowhere near the other two, yet he's just absolutely crushed it. And fair play to anyone that went there, because you can't hate anyone else getting points. You just get annoyed with the player.
Yeah, anyone with Eze and Bowen is just
smashed it.
So happy. Yeah.
And maybe it's just like a really weird finding for next season, but I swear last season as well, he only played well in April and May, and it was the end of the season run-in, Palace turned it on. And the same for Gvardiol as well. End of last season, Gvardiol just points upon points on points, and then did really well in that game with 37 double, and he's been the same. Man City.
I remember not owning Gvardiol that time last year, and I made amends for that this year at least.
Yeah, it's funny. I think it just made me think about it when I was doing the notes, and I was like, those two players last season just crushed it at the end, and they've done it the same, because otherwise they've just not been that relevant before game week 30, and they've just swapped it. So yeah, I think Eze is still a great pick this game week, having seen Liverpool now concede 8 goals in 3 games, and the fact that Eze can't stop scoring. I expect the Palace game to be one of the most high-scoring games of the weekend, so I wouldn't be surprised if he returns again. I think he's a really tricky buy, because I think by default you just think Liverpool away, nah.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Given what Liverpool have been like, and given how free-flowing and attacking Palace are, I wouldn't be surprised if he returned again this game week.
Do you assume the starters will come back in for that? The ones that were rotated this week?
I think so. I think they'll play more of a first 11, because I think Gay missed the game because of concussion. I expect he probably wants to finish the season if he's allowed to play, if that week has fully passed. I think Eze likely play. Sarr seems to play quite a lot. Mateta got his rest, so I expect he'll play. I do think it'll be most of their first 11 in that game.
Okay.
Because they're still chasing that point. Well, wanting to better their now points record, and why not against the Liverpool team that have been pretty open in the last 3 game weeks? I think it'll be fun.
Well, they've been awful the last 3 game weeks.
Awful. Yeah. And then, which is a bit of a flip, because you're talking about midfielders, but I think Diaz is still a really good pick this game week, and he's not been talked about that much. So he's 17% ownership, so it's not incredibly high, but it's definitely not high in the top 100k. He's returned now in the last 7 home games in a row, average of 9.1 points per game. I don't really see him being spoken about much as a pick for this last game week. I definitely see Bowen's name being mentioned more.
Yeah,
he's definitely not a 90-minute pick for this game week by any means, but I think he's going to start. He was benched for the away game since they've won the league, but started the home league game against Arsenal. Let me just see if I can get his minutes up. And he has just ended the season essentially the same way he started it. He's had a bit of a shit sandwich. He started well, was crap in the middle, and now he's come back to being good again. But he's been really consistent at home. 8, 7, 9, 9, 8, and then 12, I think, were his last returns at home. So yeah, he's been consistently good since the early game week 20. So 4th
highest scoring mid, and it just seems to be one of those picks that's just no one's really owned all season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think a lot to be said for him. If you're choosing between Bowen and Diaz, who are only a point separated in the overall points so far this season, and Diaz has played far fewer minutes. Yeah, I think he could be a nice differential as well.
Yeah, like it.
And forwards?
Yeah, forwards. Yeah, go for it. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go on then. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so even though you said Mateta might come back in, I think this is a proper spicy pun. As Nketiah, 5.9 million, 0.6% owned. He obviously started the last one, and I've got down here, not got a clue if he's going to start or not, but why wouldn't he? Because he played the last one, got a brace, 13 points, 80 minutes. Why not just give him the last game as well? Since game week 35 and the title wrapped up, Liverpool got the worst XGC in the league, as I said, at 7.35. They've conceded 11 big chances, only 1 fewer than Fulham, Spurs, and United, who are all at the rock bottom. There's basically no bigger punt than him if Isak is out. I'd say I think he's a proper spicy pick. If you can get some kind of leak that he's going to start, 80 minutes seems possible. Maybe if Mateta's fit, then maybe he gets like 70-ish. But I think when he does start, he's usually a little bit like on the cusp of getting goals and stuff. So I don't mind it. Like he was good last game, and there's a chance that he does well in this one. And then finally, just the guy who I bought in for this fixture, the Evan Nilsson at 5.8 million, 4.2%. So a good differential for sure.
Huge differential.
He's cheap. Yeah, he's cheap, nailed on, amazing fixture. Hit the post versus City last week, so a little bit unlucky not to return in the most of the games recently. But his form is not really very good. So the last 6 weeks, 2, 2, 2, 6, 2, and 2. So I think maybe I shouldn't have gone so early on him. When I saw Marmoush bench the other week, I went to Evan Nilsson because I was just like, I know I'm going to want him for this fixture. But he's just he's just not been great. I'm not exactly confident he's going to do much here either. But it's just the fixture. I see a dark green, and Bournemouth at home. I'm just like come on, please. But he's good on the bench boost at least. So a great fixture, and cheap, and enables the rest of the team. So I like him. I think a lot of people will start to go there for this week, but I wouldn't be surprised if big blanks at the same time.
I think let me just have a quick look at the most transferred in. Top transferred in this week. He's the third most. So most bought Bowen, second most Watkins, third Evan Nilsson, fourth. I'm surprised at this, but I suppose it shows how reserved people are being. Only 89,000 transfers in for Saka already this week, but still think that's probably too early to go on him. And then my top picks for forwards. Wissa I think is still a differential. I think his ownership's shot up 23% now. Okay, so maybe he's not a differential.
I want it back.
Yeah, I think he's reliable. Yeah, I mean, it was maybe the Ipswich game. Is that what put you off, or was it just the FOMO of Watkins?
It was the FOMO. That was it.
Yeah. So since
I guess him blanking last week, I was just like, he's not been that good. He can't hurt me that bad, surely. And then
one of his highest pointers. Well, I think it's probably not been spoken about how good he's been this season. He's one of the I think he's the third highest scoring striker, and I think if I just load it up, I think he's level with Watkins. But unlike Wooden, I think it's Wooden Isak who in front of him, he hasn't had penalties. Yeah, so he's got the same as Watkins, and it's only Wooden Isak. It's amazing return considering he's not on penalties, and he missed 3 or 4 games at the start of the season, 18 goals. I'm happy to own him. So since game week 30, he's the 4th highest points per 90 minutes player of forwards after both of the Wolves attackers. And I know in the chat a minute ago, Jammer said he's looking at Strand Larsen for this game week and Watkins. And away from home since game week 30, he's averaged 5.5 points per game. We discussed it a few times that Brentford have still got Europa to fight for. There's no reason why they're not going to be going for it. They're one of the best attacking teams in the league in the last 4 or 5 game weeks, one of the highest XGs. And the game against Wolves earlier this season finished 5-3. So there's form for that being a bit of a goal fest. Not to say it's going to happen again, but it's happened once this season. And the other striker pick I quite like, I called him out before the Liverpool game, is Welbeck. So he's 6% owned, so only slightly more ownership than Evan Nilsson. He returned 5 points, got an assist, missed a big chance as well, so could have hauled. Brighton, like I mentioned, have Europe to play for. He'll definitely play because it looks like Pedro had that fight. Did you hear about that with Van Heck or something?
No, I didn't hear that.
That's why it preceded the sale thing. So Hertzler said there was personal reasons why he didn't play on Monday night, and then it got reported yesterday that he had a training ground fight with Van Heck or something.
Oh dear.
So then he'd caused it, and I imagine that's why all of the news of we want to sell him has come out today.
Yeah, okay.
So I doubt he's going to play, so I would expect Welbeck to continue. Tottenham, as we've mentioned many times, worst defence in the league since game week 30. He's likely to play 80 minutes. We saw what Palace did when they played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I expect Welbeck to get chances too. So I quite like those forward picks for the final week, really. Yeah,
some interesting differentials. Most of the chalky players are I mean, Isak, I guess. So, and then if Isak is out, then you've got a choice of some great options for going up the ranks for sure.
Yeah. Well, just to wrap up, then I think what we'll do is perhaps if we just go through our top picks for, let's say, if any of our high-owned players are out. So let's say if Isak's out, what's your route or your plan at this moment in time?
Oh, good question. God, I don't know. I think that's really tough. You know, it's maybe
it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is tough. I guess it would be. I guess I'd probably just go back to Visser, or it's Welbeck, I guess, or maybe the Strand Larsen.
Oh, it's Strand Larsen pick as well. We haven't really talked about him.
But then I did think like the Brentford defense has been pretty good. So, it's probably. Who did I say again? Visser, and then there isn't much others. It's probably Welbeck. It's probably Welbeck.
And then, all right, I think similar for me really. If Isak's out, I quite like Welbeck. I've obviously already got Visser. I think I would pick Welbeck over Evan Nilsson, just because X motivation I rank quite highly. So they'd be my top two picks there. And then, okay, same question. So for you, if KDB's benched, and for me, if Saka's benched, who are you thinking are your top midfield picks?
Well, if Saka's not benched, then I'd probably go Saka.
Oh, yeah, true,
yeah. In my team, obviously. And then otherwise, it's probably Bowen. But I do quite like Diaz, as you said. I quite like Eze too. So, but I've been burnt a little bit with Palace players, and I feel like if I go on Eze, he'll just do nothing. So, it's probably Bowen, and then maybe if I really fancy it, just a Bruno Fernandes punt for the last of the season, because why not?
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, because why not? As I said, like his form has been pretty bad in the league, and United have been terrible, but
pressure's off on the last day of the season.
Yeah, exactly. There is not much reason not to do that too.
Yeah, okay. I think if Saka was out, Bowen seems like the sensible minutes pick with form, but Eze would probably be. Actually, no. I think I'd probably rate Diaz as my second pick, and then Eze my third. And defensive picks, I think it's really difficult to say on my, because I don't know. I suppose Saliba people might be looking to replace. My top pick would probably be Livramento, then White, then Kirkes.
Yeah,
or something like that.
So. Yeah, I agree. Maybe a Villa defender, possibly like Cash, maybe, but me, I guess. But yeah, there's not many great options for defense either. I don't think so.
Defense I think is really difficult this week.
Yeah, you probably just go all in on Arsenal defence.
Because if Liverpool and Palace weren't playing each other, I think their picks would dominate.
Yeah.
I think it's the kind of week where Van Dijk, scores a header as Liverpool lift the title, and Munoz has been so attacking, but I expect them to concede a few goals.
Does Trent get the final start of the season?
I don't think so. I feel like that's such... No, I don't know. Bradley's been playing quite well.
Yeah.
From what people say, and maybe Trent will come on in like the 66th minute or something.
Okay.
Like that. I think it's all ended a bit sadly.
Yeah, I don't think Slot as much. I think it's been a little bit sour there, and I don't think he has much reason to be like, let's just give him the final game for the fans. But then the fans don't seem to much like him either. So
all right, let's just before that. So thanks for everyone for watching this season. We'll probably do a wrap up season review next week, but if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It helps support the channel if we're looking to get at least 25 interactions on the stream. We'll be back with a video tomorrow on our team selections. Prior to that though, if there's any more questions, just please put them on the chat, because I think we'll just have a quick discussion about captaincy and then we'll answer them before we wrap up. So we haven't discussed it at all, but the final time of the season, who's the armband going on?
I think it's really difficult. I put it in our chat earlier. I was just like, I don't feel comfortable in captaining anyone in my team. It would have been Isak if he was like fully fit and fine. But other than that, like maybe it's just in Buemo again. Honestly, Wolves away. I think that could be a game full of goals again. So yeah, it's probably Newcastle players. Maybe it's Salah still, but I don't know. It's Newcastle or Brentford players, I think.
Yeah, I'm really struggling with it as well. I've seen quite a lot of people. I obviously watch The Wire. It's one of my only other contents I watch, and I know Prass on there is like 100% keen on Salah after watching him the other night. I just really can't. I know.
Is he sure?
Yeah, he was like,
Really?
He's like, I'm locked in on Salah. I'm not changing my mind all week, and I don't know. I was locked in on a blank. I mean, he's doing so much better than me, obviously, so it makes me question whether I should be there as well. And I expect Liverpool to score this weekend, but he's been so unreliable recently.
Palace's defense has been bad recently too, so yeah,
maybe. But you're right. I think there's so many options. I think you'd probably go Salah if you're looking to maintain a little bit, but then at the same time, I kind of think, why not just go for it? Like for me, I'd be happy now from anywhere between like 50 and 75, I think.
So what's your backup then? If it's not Salah, then who's your number one?
Well, I don't think my number one is Salah, to be honest. I was just listening to that. I like a bunch of people, and I'm not sure yet. I'll have to see what the team units is. I like, from the fixture point of view, I like Newcastle, so Isak's probably up there. I also like Mbeumo and even Wissa, because Wissa's been playing, as well as Mbeumo. So I like both of the Brentford boys. I like Isak. I also quite like Watkins a little bit again against Man United. Maybe not as good. And yeah, I think there's so many options. And then obviously the one I haven't mentioned is I've got Saka, who's a mega differential still at 16%. People might not buy him because he might be rumored not to start. And then he could start against Southampton, and maybe there's a punt there, but there's no form to back that up.
I think the Watkins is a decent shout, actually. United's, as I looked on the stats, the United's defense is just like bottom tier on basically everything at the moment. So yeah, Watkins, with Villa actually having to play and trying to win, I do quite like that. There seems like it. I mean, like last day, Man United at home, maybe after Europa League victory, or if they lose, then that's down in the dumps. And Watkins, the feeling and the crowd at that game is just going to be, really bad. So the atmosphere,
if they lose,
So if United lose, then Watkins captain. That seems great.
And we haven't even spoken about the Man City players as potential captain options. I mean, Marmoush played well the other night.
Yeah,
Haaland.
People have bought in Haaland, and they've been so disappointed. I can see Haaland scoring this week. I think Haaland, if you've got him, you probably he's a good captain.
Adam in the chat suggests that Evan Nielsen might be a shout, and
I mean, I like him. I'm happy to own him, but no, I'm not captaining him.
So it's interesting. So I think captaincy is really divided, and I don't personally think Saka's my safe pick captain either.
No, not really.
It's really tough. But I think if you are trying to, I don't know. I talked at the start of the show about like protecting rank and trying to gain rank. I don't even know if you captain Salah, that's like a protect rank. He's so out of form.
It's probably Mbeumo, actually. Yeah.
What, the safest or the protect rank guy?
The protect rank guy. Because he's nearly 50% owned. So
definitely not Palmer.
No. Yeah. That game seems like it's a 1-0 either way, or 1-1, something like that, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Just before we wrap up, actually, because I don't think we've got any questions, we've got the Europa League tonight. As Manchester United, I was going to say supporters.
Stands.
Well, how are you feeling about tonight's game?
I mean, no real feelings towards it, to be honest.
Feelings.
I'm a little bit disconnected from United right now. So I think United will win, but at the same time, I asked it to some guy, a Spurs fan on Twitter, Crate Digger, he's called, and I asked like, who's it worse for to lose, like if either one loses, and he thinks it's worse for Spurs because they'd have to obviously Ange would go, they'd lose all the chances of any kind of European football of like getting good sort of teams or getting good players in, and they'd have to find a new manager who's good enough to try and get them back to that. So it's possibly worse for Spurs to lose, but at the same time, United being 16th and then Spurs 7th, I think both of them, if they both can't both teams win, like with I think it's it could go either way. Like Spurs have been maybe slightly better in the league form recently, but United have been unbeaten in the whole of the Europa League campaign. So
it was
don't know.
It was funny. There was a TNT video on YouTube which I watched earlier in the week, and I watched part of it. It was Manchester United's route to the final. And I actually watched about 5 minutes of it, and I thought I was just watching a compilation of Onana's mistakes and the defensive mistakes, because all of the Europa League games this season, they were just giving away goals, and it's just ridiculous how they've got like ridden their luck to get to the final. I mean, we wouldn't be interested in it if it was just a normal Premier League game, but since there's a trophy attached, I think it's too difficult to call personally. I think both teams have been as bad as each other.
Spurs are getting some of their proper first teamers back as well, and so Son looked pretty lively in the last game as well.
But Kulusevski's out, and Maddison's out, Bergval's out. It's
true.
Gonna be a weird game. I kind of think that United's players that have experience will make a difference, like Casemiro.
Casemiro winner could happen.
They obviously won the FA Cup last season and the League Cup, so they've been in some finals recently, and some of that squad have experienced that, so maybe that'll be the difference. Cool. All right. We'll be back. A bit of a longer show for the last preview. We'll be back with our video, both our team selections and our bench boost active. Probably be out tomorrow, lunchtime-ish. So look out for that one. If you're not already liked and subscribed, please do, and then you'll see that one pop up on your feed. So until next week's review of the season, have a good final game week 38, everyone.
Yep. Thanks all.
Cheers. Bye bye.